Hello and welcome to Canadian Frameline's weekly update number 6, or as I like to call it, the Comfy Pants edition, because we both have our comfy pants on. It is February the 5th, 2012, and here we are.
I'm Ryder White.
Oh, and I'm Alex Caulfield. We've had a busy week this week. We had to take our bus to a transmission shop, and then when our transmission was too big for them to handle. We're too much for them.
They can't take it.
No. So then we had to go to 99 Truck Parts, which is total shout out and plug to them because they were so great.
They're very nice to us, even though
Wonderful.
we're not big truckers.
Yes, we only have a small truck for them. So that was very cool.
They got us all sorted out in a day, and we're back on the road.
Yeah.
Which is very fortunate because
our bus was in a movie this week.
it's still in a movie.
It's still in a movie. We're shooting. The film is being shot for its last day tomorrow, and it will be screened in May. But we will tell you more about that near the time.
It's a short.
It's a short film by a friend of ours, Erin May, it's called Graceland. Check it out.
It's not the one that's like doing mad good on Indiegogo, but it is also called Graceland, and it's also really interesting.
Really interesting.
And it's going to be shot on, or it is being shot on beautiful 16mm Ektachrome color reversal.
You should know, you're shooting it. Yes, that's good. So it's going to be a really pretty movie. Anyway, back to us again. You were going to say something.
I was going to talk about early cinema.
Yes.
In case anybody was interested.
You should. So, I mean, if you don't care about early cinema, have a good night. But you really should care about early cinema because it's really, it's inspired us a lot in what we're going to do. So, take it away.
Well, I just wanted to say a few words here and there. And I've actually, in the course of shooting, misplaced some of the reference materials that I was going to bring to talk about this week. But just to give sort of like a brief little overview, that, you know, in the early days of cinema, of course, people were trying, the format lent itself to stardom and the adoption of luminaries very quickly, like any artistic format. So even from the very beginning, you had a few people making very dominant films and making a very big splash in the film world. You know, Georges Méliès and some of the others there, and were widely imitated, even so far as to when Méliès came to the States, I believe Thomas Edison had already shown his works, and Méliès was unable to beat him to the copyright, and so he returned to France penniless, which was a very sad story for him. But at the same time, there were a number of raconteurs, storytellers, and showmen who were going around and showing what films that they could get their hands on, and cobbling together whatever shows that they could. They would also incorporate live acts. Of course, many people know, and as you, dear listener, may also know, that the sort of light involved carnival-esque show immediately preceding the cinema was the Magic Lantern show that used photographic images on a set of glass plates to create sort of motion-like effects in some sort of situation. So the dawn of cinema, roughly 1900-ish, was a very rich time for a number of different formats, and even so early as in those days, people were coming up with sort of alternative screening methods because the field was very open. So, for instance, you had events like Hale's tours, which were essentially railroad rides. Hale was, I cannot say his name. He was an American entrepreneur who devised sort of like a very early version of that, like IMAX 4D thing that they do, where they like spray the water on you and it's really disconcerting. Except he did his in a train car, and they were called phantom rides. What he would do is he would employ a cameraman to either perch precariously on the cowcatcher of a locomotive, or would set up on a flat car pushed by the locomotive. and they would cruise all of the rail routes of North America and just take footage, and then he would bring them back to these dedicated screening environments that he had set up in Pullman cars, and the audience would pay a nickel or what have you to come in and sit, and in the front of the car there would be a screen, and they underneath the car they had mechanisms for all kinds of they would careen around the track with the film. It was very interactive, and so you from like the very this was like 1903-ish that he started doing these things, I believe. I have it open right here actually. Let me look on that. It was yes 1904, yes. And another man who was doing similar things but in a more Canadian way was William Harbeck, and William Harbeck was most well known for being the cameraman to most extensively document the aftermath of the Great San Francisco earthquake in 1906. The following year, he was hired by the Canadian Pacific Railroad to document Western Canada in much the same way as the Phantom rides. And so he came up to Vancouver, and he traveled all around on the Canadian Pacific Railway. And these documents of the interior of Canada and also of Vancouver and Victoria were very highly regarded for showing, actual street life, actual street scenes, unmanipulated, and people responded very well to that. Unfortunately, it wasn't the most commercially viable thing, but we still remember that as very fascinating documents, and people respond well to that. I think next week we'll probably have a few more notes for you, and we'll come back to it a little bit. But for now, that's I think we're going to leave off with William Harbeck. And next week we'll probably talk a little bit more about Schuberg, and we'll get into some more of the permanent cinemas of that era and the whole techniques that they used to get people in.
I bet you didn't think you were going to be this much smarter after our video. Have a really great rest of your day or evening or middle of the night whenever you're enjoying us. And
make sure to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter.
And like us.
All the time.
All over the place. On any platform you can. Please like us.
Welcome your comments and questions.
Yeah.
Talk to you later. Good night.